On today's video, we're going to be looking at and ranking every NES game released in 1986. But before we do that, if you're new to this channel and you like these sort of videos, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe as it helps out this channel grow. And don't forget to hit the notification button for all future videos. Now, a lot of these games I've played as a kid and a lot of them I didn't. Some of these I played for the first time, and some of these I really liked and some of these I really didn't. But let's get started. 1942. 1942 is a vertically scrolling shooter by Capcom. The player pilots a Lockbird P-38 Lightning dubbed the Super Ace. The player has to shoot down enemy planes to avoid enemy fire. The player can perform a roll or vertical loop. During the game, the player may collect a series of power-ups to help them out. Now, as a kid I really liked this, and going back now, I really think it holds up. I really still think it's a fun game. I would recommend this. I'm going to give this a B. Next up, Balloon Fight. Balloon Fight is an action video game developed by Nintendo and HAL Laboratory. The gameplay is similar to the 1982 game Joust. The player controls an unnamed balloon fighter with two balloons attached to his helmet. Repeatedly pressing the A button or holding down the B button causes the balloon fighter to flap his arms and rise in the air. The object is to pop the other player's balloons, or if your balloons get popped, you lose a life. Now, this game, I didn't play this as a kid. I played this for the first time a few days ago, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of fun. So I'm going to give this a B. Next up, Chubby Cherub. Chubby Cherub is an action video game published by Bandai. Chubby Cherub's friends are kidnapped by several burglars, so he has to save them. However, there are dogs in the way. Chubby Cherub has to cross 12 levels, and at the end of each, you will get his friends back. Honestly, I didn't really have much fun with this game. I never played this as a kid, and I played this for the first time, and I didn't like it. I'm gonna give this a D. Next up, Commando. Commando is a vertically scrolling run-and-gun video game released by Capcom. The player takes control of a soldier named Super Joe, who starts by being dropped off in a jungle by a helicopter, and has to fight his way out of the jungle single-handedly, fending off massive assault of enemy soldiers. Now, I did play this as a kid, and I liked it, and I think it still holds up today. It's really not a bad game. I'm gonna give this a B. Next up, Ghosts 'n Goblins. Ghosts 'n Goblins is a platformer video game developed by Capcom. The player controls a knight named Sir Arthur. He must defeat zombies, giants, demons, forest spirits, and other monsters to rescue the princess who has been kidnapped. Now, I didn't play this much as a kid because of the sheer difficulty, and let me tell you, it is still really hard game. It's still fun, don't get me wrong, but it is extremely hard. I still have fun with this. I'm gonna give this a B. Next up, Donkey Kong Math. Donkey Kong Math is an educational platformer game developed and published by Nintendo. The game features two modes, a single player and a two-player mode. Now, the game is kind of similar to Donkey Kong Jr. The Calculate mode has Donkey Kong holding up a number, which the player must attempt to reach by collecting the combination of digits and symbols. Yeah, this game definitely wasn't for me. I didn't really have fun with this. Yeah, it's an educational game, but it might be good for kids, but I just didn't care for it. It's a D. Next up, Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was first a 1981 arcade game, later ported to the NES, developed and published by Nintendo. As Mario, also known as Jumpman at the time. The player runs and jumps on platforms and climbs ladders to ascend a construction site to rescue Pauline from a giant gorilla named Donkey Kong. It's the first game in the Donkey Kong series, as well as Mario's first appearance in a video game. I played this as a kid. I've played this multiple times. I still like it. It's not a bad game. I'm going to give this a C. Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong Jr. is a 1982 arcade platform game that was released by Nintendo. It is a sequel to Donkey Kong, but this time the roles are reversed compared to the previous game. Mario is now the villain, and Donkey Kong Jr. is trying to save his kidnapped father. This game, I did not like this as much as the first game. I just don't think it was... I didn't think it was as fun. I'm gonna give this one a D. Donkey Kong 3. Donkey Kong 3 is a shooter video game developed and published by Nintendo. Donkey Kong hangs from the vines at the center of the screen, and the player controls Stanley the Exterminator. Stanley can fire bug spray at both Donkey Kong and insects flying. A level is completed by continually using the spray on Donkey Kong, forcing him to climb the top of the screen, or by killing all the bugs. Now, I will say, I haven't played this as a kid, and I played this for the first time, and I absolutely hated it. I did not like this at all. I'm going to give this an F. Next up, Gradius. Gradius is a side-scrolling shooter game developed and published by Konami. The player controls a trans-dimension spaceship, Vic Viper, and must battle waves of enemies through various environments. When the gameplay begins, the Viper is slow and has a weak gun, but the Viper can gain greater capabilities by collecting and using power-up items. As a kid, I really liked this. I was a fan of the Gradius series, and I played this today, and it's still a really, really fun game. I would highly recommend this one. I'm going to give this one an A. Next up, Gumshoe. Gumshoe is a light gun shooter game which you have to use a zapper gun, and it's developed and published by Nintendo. Mr. Stevenson walks continuously to the right and will jump if you shoot with the zapper gun. The player must also shoot enemies as they appear on screen. I did not like this game. I just couldn't get into this. I'm going to give this a D. Next up, Karate Champ. Karate Champ is a fighting game released by Data East. Gameplay consists of two fighters. Player 1 controls the one in the white, while player 2 or the computer controls the one in the red. The player can execute 24 moves followed by different bonus rounds for the player. The pattern repeats itself in the next round. It becomes more challenging and is set in a different background. I did not like this one. And it was probably okay at best. I don't know. I'm going to give this one a C. Next up, Match Rider. Match Rider is a vehicle combat racing game developed by House Laboratory. Match Rider takes place in the year 2112, and planet Earth has been invaded by evil forces driving vehicles known as Quad Runners. The player controls Match Rider, who travels from sector to sector on a high-powered superbike, searching for survivors and destroying any enemies in their path. I did not care for this one. I didn't think it was really that good of a game. I'm gonna give this a D. Mario Brothers. Now, Mario Brothers is a platform game developed and published by Nintendo as an arcade game, later ported on the NES. The object of this game is to defeat all the other enemies in each phase. The mechanics of Mario Brothers involve only running and jumping. Unlike the future Mario games, the player cannot jump on enemies and squash them, unless they were already turned on their back. As a kid, I remember playing this, and I had fun with this, and it was still a pretty decent game today, so I'm going to give this a C. Next up, Muscle. Muscle Tag Match is a fighting game published by Bandai. Several moves can be done in the game, such as punch, jump, drop kick, shove, shoving the ropes, flying body attacks, jump onto the ropes and rebound, clothesline, shove enemies into the ropes, and then hit the A and backdrop, aka superplex. Now, I'm a big fan of wrestling games. I grew up playing wrestling, and I didn't play this as a kid, but I played this for the first time, and I just think this is horrible. I'm going to give this an F. Next up, Ninja Kid. Ninja Kid is an action game developed and published by Bandai. Gameplay begins on an overhead map with several different arches. Each arch leads to a different side-scrolling mission, and a type of mission could be determined by the type of arch. At the end of each mission, 2 doors will open, one which would return to the map, and the other of which will take players to a vertically scrolling tower with a mini-boss on the top. I don't know, I didn't play this as a kid. I played this for the first time and it seemed okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I'm gonna give this a C. Next up, Popeye. Popeye is a 1982 platformer game developed and released by Nintendo. It was an arcade game later ported to the NES. The object of the game is for Popeye to collect a certain number of items dropped by Olive Oyl. Depending on the level, it's hearts, music notes, or letters with the word help, while avoiding Brutus. I played this as a kid, I liked it, and it's not a bad game now. I'm going to give this a C. Next up, Urban Champion. Urban Champion is a fighting game published by Nintendo. The object is to knock out the other players into a sewer manhole. The player has a set limit of stamina, 200 hit points. The player has 2 types of attacks, a light punch and a heavy punch. The light punch is weaker but faster and harder to block, while the heavy punch is stronger but takes longer to pull off. It's more easier telegraphed and is easier to block. I didn't like this game at all. I just think it sucks. So I'm going to give this an F. And finally, Tag Team Wrestling. Tag Team Wrestling is a wrestling video game from the arcades in 1983 and later ported on the NES by Data East. The player controls a wrestling tag team who must defeat a couple of masked wrestlers known as the heel team. The player's team must continually beat the heel team in order to win trophies and maintain gameplay. I have played this as a kid, and I don't believe I liked it back then, and it was really bad. It's not a good game. I was really hoping this last game would have been good, but it's not. I'm gonna give this an F. So there you have it. This is every game released in 1986 for the NES. Some good, some bad. What are your opinions on that? What games did you really like? What games did you not like? Leave comments below to share your thoughts. And remember, I will be having more lists like this coming soon. So if you like these lists, don't forget to subscribe, as it really helps out this channel grow. And give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget the comments below and let me know what your favorite game here is and what you really enjoyed playing as a kid. So until next time, peace out.